and we get into our lizard-like posture. Now, when we do this exercise here, I don't just squeeze the knee in. It's fine. It's not really gonna, damage my knee to just do that. Of course not. But what I try to learn is to go in and rotate the shin and thigh bone at the same time. So I flex the foot and I rotate the shin and thigh together as a unit, out and in, okay? So that they're not really changing any sort of, I'm not putting any strain on the ligaments of the knee by doing so. Again, I don't want to make this sound like, oh, if you move your knee, it's going to be an injury or anything like that. It's not necessarily. I'm just giving you, hey, look, can you also understand this movement here instead of just fixing the foot and moving the thigh, which would be a movement at your ankle and hip joint? Can you also move as a unit where your ankle joint isn't fixed on the ground? Always looking for ways in which I can sort of get into the pose without creating a ton of strain at any sort of joint. Okay. With a countertop height, the benefit is you can go into pigeon pose where your shin is facing the same direction as your toes. So you can see here, in actual pigeon pose, your pressure is put on the foot to immediately rotate the shin. It turns the shin in. For some of you, the shin rotating in will put more pressure on the inside of the knee that is already creating pressure, or more strain on the outside of the knee. So just by taking this variation of pigeon pose, standing, you would just, lay, and what you can do with this right elbow is you push the skin of your right knee out like this. And this, honestly, is one of the best hip stretches. If you wanted to take it deeper, of course, on the countertop would be a different story. The stool is quite nice. You do a similar thing here where you hold onto the chair and you take your leg into pigeon pose. You see my toes are facing down a little to the ground. And then you move this leg back and place it onto the ground here. You want to get it to a point where you're not putting a lot of pressure on the ankle bone. So changing where your shin is might do that. I like to have the bone off. There it is. This is a great way to kind of get into a nice deep hip stretch. If you have a cushioned chair, it is more comfortable than wood, of course. Now, in this position here, you have a couple of options. You could bow forward. You could also bow more so that your face and foot are towards each other. Okay, this is going to create, for me, a nicer stretch. Or you can take it into a twist. A twist will stretch the hips a little bit more. If you lean back away, and you can even use your hand on your knee like you did with your elbow in the standing version, push your knee down and out. Now, if you all know a block under the hip, you've seen that, I'm sure. We place the block under the shin so the foot can hang off of the block. I like 2 blocks typically because my blocks are smaller than most blocks. But now your foot can hang off and it doesn't form another point of leverage at the knee joint. And that to me is already a lot nicer than your standard pigeon. You see what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push this inner thigh down and then out to the side. Okay, what I'm trying to do is rotate the thigh bone so that there's, you see my pants here are tight. I'm going to try to pull that long and shorten the outside. So I press down and out and I'm rotating my thigh bone. It takes a lot of force because, you got all your weight into your hips here. Your thigh is trying to rotate in and it's putting pressure on the inner knee. You want to push it out. Option, you can stay here. You can place your forearm down. You could come down this way. Or a lot of times if you have knee pain, it feels really nice to bow to the left like this. Just having the block underneath my shin and having my foot free really makes a difference, right? Because now I'm able to rotate my shin. If I have the foot on the ground, what's going to happen is it's going to bring the foot this way, which will turn the shin inward. If the shin turns in and the thigh is kind of getting pushed in, you get compression of the knee or strain of the outer knee. Either way, that typically doesn't feel great. It doesn't mean that it will create that, but it oftentimes does. So if you're experiencing that sort of pain, then try the block variation.